A tranquil morning at Subic Bay, a place known for its natural beauty and rich maritime history. Fishermen tend to their nets, dock workers unload cargo, and life moves at its usual unhurried pace. But suddenly, the calm is shattered by an extraordinary sight. One by one, massive military vehicles, marked with NATO insignias, begin to roll off a transport ship onto Philippine soil. Locals gather, some clutching their phones, others exchanging wide-eyed looks. What's going on? Why are dozens of NATO combat vehicles here, of all places? And why now? The air buzzes with curiosity and tension, sparking conversations not only in Subic Bay, but across the entire nation. This seemingly ordinary day has just become a moment of extraordinary significance, one that has caught the attention of the world. For decades, Subic Bay has held a unique place in Philippine history. Once home to the largest U.S. naval base outside of America, it stood as a symbol of the Philippines' strategic importance during the Cold War. After the base's closure in 1992, Subic transformed into a free port zone, a hub of commerce and tourism. But its strategic location, nestled near the contested South China Sea, means its story is far from over. On this particular day, that history seems to come full circle. A NATO transport ship docked at the bay has unloaded dozens of military vehicles, including armored personnel carriers, reconnaissance vehicles, and supply trucks. Soldiers in NATO uniforms move efficiently, overseeing the operation with an air of urgency. The sight is both surreal and stirring. It's been years since Subic Bay witnessed such a direct military presence, let alone one involving NATO, an alliance that is traditionally focused on Europe and the Atlantic. So, why now? And why here? To understand the significance of this moment, we need to zoom out and examine the broader geopolitical landscape. The Indo-Pacific region has become a focal point of global power struggles, particularly as tensions rise over the South China Sea. This area, rich in natural resources and critical shipping lanes, has seen an increase in military activity as nations assert territorial claims. For the Philippines, this has been a particularly sensitive issue. While the country has legal victories asserting its territorial rights, enforcement remains a challenge. This is where alliances come into play. The arrival of NATO equipment could signify a shift in strategy, one that involves deeper cooperation with Western powers to maintain stability and deter potential aggression. Analysts have speculated that this surprise move might be tied to recent agreements between the Philippines and its allies. In 2024, discussions about expanded defense cooperation between the U.S. and the Philippines made headlines. Could this be a continuation of those efforts, now involving NATO? Or is it part of a broader strategy to pivot Western attention toward the Indo-Pacific? The scene at Subic Bay is not just about the military vehicles, it's about the people witnessing this unexpected moment in history. Lito, a fisherman in his 60s who has lived his entire life in the area, recalls the days when U.S. warships dominated the bay. Back then, it was normal to see soldiers and military equipment here. But this is different, he says, shaking his head in disbelief. I never thought I'd see NATO here. It makes you wonder what's coming. Maria, a university student studying international relations, sees this development in a different light. This could mean better security for us, she says, clutching her notebook as she observes the convoy. The world is changing, and the Philippines is at the center of it. Maybe this is a sign that our alliances are growing stronger. It's exciting, but also a little scary. Not everyone shares her optimism. Arturo, a small business owner in the Freeport Zone, voices his concerns. Subic has worked hard to move on from its military past. We've become an economic hub, but now I worry this will make us a target if tensions escalate. Is this really for our benefit? These contrasting perspectives reflect the broader debate happening across the nation. Is the arrival of NATO equipment a step toward greater security, or does it carry the risk of entangling the Philippines in conflicts it didn't choose? From a military standpoint, the arrival of NATO vehicles in Subic Bay is highly symbolic. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, has traditionally focused its efforts on Europe and North America. However, recent years have seen the alliance expand its scope, recognizing the interconnected nature of global security. The Indo-Pacific, with its growing importance as a center of trade and potential conflict, has naturally drawn NATO's attention. By positioning assets in the Philippines, NATO signals its commitment to supporting its allies and maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific. For the Philippines, this could mean enhanced capabilities to defend its maritime territories and a stronger position in the face of regional disputes. However, this move also raises questions about sovereignty and the balance of power. Historically, Filipinos have been wary of foreign military presence, given the colonial past and the challenges of navigating alliances without compromising national independence. The government's role in explaining the purpose and scope of this operation will be crucial in addressing these concerns. The international community is watching closely. Regional neighbors like Japan and South Korea may view this as a welcome development, aligning with their own goals of countering potential threats in the region. Meanwhile, China is likely to interpret this as a provocative move, given its own claims over much of the South China Sea. The timing is also significant. Global tensions are high, with NATO already engaged in efforts to address conflicts in Europe. The arrival of its equipment in the Philippines demonstrates a willingness to engage on multiple fronts, a message that will not go unnoticed by its adversaries. As the day ends, the towering silhouettes of NATO combat vehicles remain a stark contrast to Subic Bay's serene surroundings. The arrival of these vehicles has transformed the bay from a bustling economic hub into a focal point of geopolitical intrigue. For the locals, it's a day they won't soon forget. But this story is far from over. The coming weeks will reveal more about the purpose of this operation and its implications for the Philippines and the region. Will this lead to stronger partnerships and greater security, or will it introduce new complexities to an already volatile situation? Subic Bay has once again found itself at the crossroads of history. The arrival of NATO combat vehicles is more than just an isolated event. It's a chapter in the evolving story of global diplomacy, power, and alliances. For the Philippines, it's a moment of both opportunity and uncertainty, one that demands careful navigation. As Filipinos reflect on what this means for their nation's future, the world watches closely. In an age of shifting alliances and rising tensions, one thing is clear: the decisions made today will shape the region for years to come. What do you think this moment signifies for the Philippines and the Indo-Pacific region? Is it a move toward greater stability, or does it signal a deeper entanglement in global power struggles?